Welcome back to the University of Limerick for the semi-final of the IFDA Women's Ultimate Frisbee All-Ireland Championships. Here it's PELT wearing green, and they have the pull to start through On Your Heart against Rebel 1. It's actually a repeat of the first game we had this morning that set us off in our coverage on Pundit Arena's Facebook page. It was Rebel that came out on top in that game on a 12-5 scoreline, and it's Rebel that have possession here straight away with Megan O'Regan R2. Delighted to be joined by Jen Kwan in commentary for the semi-final and final. Jen, how much have you enjoyed the day so far?
Oh, today's been absolutely fantastic. It's so nice just to have Frisbee back and playing, and to have our tournament set up again. And
the first score straight away, immediately, Dirin Nivunakan. What a start for Rebel.
Yep, that would be how Rebel usually start their games, is very quick off the bat. Dirin would be one of their top receivers for their team as well, so we'd be expecting to see her getting a lot of the disc this game.
Yeah, great start for Rebel there, immediately on the scoreboard in this semi-final of the All-Ireland Women's Ultimate Frisbee Championships. So it's Rebel straight on the board there. Their number 99, Dirin Nivunakan.
And Rebel would be a very experienced team now. A lot of these players would have actually been some of the founding members of the initial original Rebel women's team as well. So you'll see a lot of connections between a lot of these players as well.
Yeah, it's Adele Cormac about to get us back underway. Of course, Dirin also got on the scoreboard in that initial opening game of today's action. And I'm happy to leave that one out of bounds. Our PELT semi-final like this, Jen, you know, there has to be bound to be nerves from both teams despite their experience, but you know, you'll want to make a fast start as well, and immediately, oh no, it's dropped. Yeah. Huge chance there for Aoife McKeown on the PELT side. Maybe a bit too relaxed.
I think a little bit too relaxed, and actually you can just see the rain is starting to come down, so that does play into it. And I know this morning there wasn't very much wind, but that's picked up a little bit as well, so that will affect just the slight flight of the disc, as well as, you know, catching something that's slippery can be a little bit harder. So they might have to, you'll see a bit of an adjustment in their games here as well.
Yeah, so a chance for PELT to level this contest. Yeah. Goes a begging, and it's Rebel on the attack now. And straight away with Kate Crowley.
Be looking for Adele, and that's Caitlin now with the disc again.
Caitlin Looney with possession. Looking for Saoirse O'Sullivan just on the outskirts of the end zone. So a chance here for PELT to double their lead. And there's the finish from Caitlin Looney. And all that little bit too easy for Rebel at the start of this game.
Yeah, I think so.
So Rebel getting their second score, as you just see in the replay on screen now. It's Caitlin Looney with the pass, and Looney decided we'll see her cut now just in a moment, gets away from Joanne Egan, and a pass from Darren O'Sullivan was simple, but great movement from Caitlin Looney. So Caitlin Looney doubling their advantage. She created the space for Saoirse O'Sullivan and continued her run, and double the score here for Rebel against PELT in this semi-final. So,
and Caitlin is a great camogie player as well, so she'll be coming back into Frisbee after she started playing in school, and is one of probably the longest playing players at this tournament as well, so see a lot of experience from her.
Yes, Rebel side, of course, as I mentioned, 12-5 victors in that opening game of today's action, and Adele Cormac had a fantastic game for this Rebel 1 side in that contest as well. And she has us back on their way deep into PELT territory. And Fee Vaughan taking up possession now for this.
Yep. We just see Rebel defense once again. They're just playing person to person defense, really effective. They're very aggressive defenders, so we'll see a lot of that this game, although I'm expecting to see some zone a little bit later as well.
Yeah, they mixed it very well in the opening game between zone and person on person marking. So just Rebel really fast starters in most games, as Jen Kwan mentioned. And their chance for Adele.
And once
Cormac.
again, Adele to Caitlin.
Great take again from Caitlin. So Rebel certainly mean business in the early stages.
Yeah, they absolutely do, yeah. And as I said earlier, that's a Michelle to Adele to Caitlin, and that would be a history of passing through UCC as well as through Rebel, as well as on Irish teams. So, easy connections there for them once they get going.
Yeah. An outstanding final pass from Adele Cormac. Plenty of spin in it. Just had enough. Great effort from Olivia Humphreys in defence, but Caitlin Looney showing all her experience to finish that one off.
Yeah, absolutely. And just getting that positioning and getting in front of the disc as well, that's such a big thing that, experience just brings you, just being able to read that disc in these conditions. It's getting a little bit windier as well, and getting her body in the way so that Olivia can't get the disc without causing a foul.
Interesting to see a two-handed take as well.
Yeah, and that gets more important as the weather picks up, and really the two-handed take just means that the defender can't come through the back of you in any way without to top it over. So
plenty of support here for both sides. Maybe at the moment the more vocal support coming from the Rebel 1 sideline as Adele Cormack gets us back underway. Another long pull from the restart.
Yeah. And we'll see PELT again setting up in a vertical stack, so they're trying to create space on either side of the disc here. But again, in these windy conditions, you can see that Rebel are trying to push the disc out to one side, and I think there's a bit of a stoppage here for maybe a pick. But I think they've agreed that it's just a turnover, so...
Yeah, it was Anya Hart's intended pass for Emma Healy, and from PELT's point of view, it didn't go to plan. So, as Jen Kwan explains,
see Michelle here with the disc starting up again.
A good interception from her, just a little flick away from Fee Vaughan. So, getting ahead of Chelsea Love on the Rebel side. So, much needed lift for this PELT side.
And that's a lucky catch there.
And it's Emer Burke that takes possession of it. The intended pass wasn't meant for Emer Burke, but it's Emer that takes it and manages to find a pass to Fee Vaughan. Yeah, and now PELT trying to go through their attacking processes with Hannah Wilson. Wilson, good take from Emma Healy. Healy now looking for that pass. Does well to find Fee Vaughan. Vaughan now met by Adele Cormack, putting her under pressure. The count of 10 seconds going there, but pass for Anya Hart. She was looking to win it in the end zone. Could be a disputed call here, but I think Anya Hart is happy to leave this one go, Jen.
Yeah, I think so as well. Seems to still be some discussion on the pitch there, but...
just checking between themselves to see if there was a foul. I think it was Michelle Leahy back there as well. Challenging Anya Hart, but didn't seem from her angle to be anything too wrong.
No, I don't think so at all, and I think Anya was kind of saying the same, so...
A chance for PELT to put a bit of pressure on here, right on the end zone line. Here as Maeve Ryan has possession, good pressure, and nearly forced a mistake, but that's a fantastic take.
From Kate
Crowley, with a brilliant low catch, finding Adele Cormack, nearly stepping out of bounds, but... managing just to keep her foot in. Finding Ryan again. Just that little bit high.
Just a little bit high, yeah. And you'll see the wind. This is where that adjustment is going to have to be a little bit different from the earlier games they've played as it's picked up. Yeah,
but Emma Healy's attempted pass to Fiona Vaughan, just again with the rain as well, it's harder to grasp the disc as well. So in the early stages of this semi-final, 8 minutes on the clock, it's Rebel leading 3-0.
Yeah, and we can see there's a nice poach in that lane, so somebody's sitting in there trying to not let the upfield throw come off too easily, but Michelle gets it to Adele with that nice inside, which is a throw that Rebel is very well known for. So,
and that's another score. Deep throw, easy as you like,
to Chelsea Love.
Chelsea Love makes it 4-0 to Rebel here against PELT, although there is a dispute on something here between Fee Vaughan and Adele Cormack. They're the ones discussing. Didn't quite catch what happened there, Jen.
I'm wondering whether it's a travel call on Adele. Let's see. She's saying that she's caught the disc.
It didn't touch the ground at any stage. I think that's what the dispute must be. Maybe Fee Vaughan just checking that the disc didn't hit the ground. Just looking at the screen here from our point of view. Just looking at the replay. No, we're near the ground. Perfectly good. So that should be another score for Rebel. Beautiful throw as well into the end zone after that by Adele Cormack.
Yeah. I can see the disc coming back now though, so I actually think that the call was a travel on Adele, so I think Adele continued to take some steps after she caught that disc, so I think that is what PELT is contesting, is that she should have slowed down a little bit earlier and PELT didn't get the opportunity to put the force and get the mark on correctly there. So Adele will resume here with the disc, but she'll just have to take a couple steps back to where she would have initially caught it.
Yeah, so normally momentum could take you a couple of steps, but on this occasion...
Yeah.
Okay. So it's Rebel still in possession with Megan O'Regan-Artaud. Pass now into Dirney Vunicon. Vunicon now back to Artaud. Little deflection on that, but Kate Crowley has caught it again. And that's definitely the fourth score this time.
Yep.
For Rebel. 10 minutes on the clock now, and Kate Crowley gets her first of this semi-final. And it really is impressive stuff from Rebel when they get on their offense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, they're very quick. They have quite quick throws as well, and you'll see that all the time, that they like to play very quickly. They'll move the disc. They really like to use a lot of their players as well. So we're seeing everyone really getting involved on the team every point. And
from a defensive point of view in PELT, it's very hard to stop when the disc is moved that quickly.
It is. And you can see that in that last point, they were trying to stand in the lanes a little bit just to slow them down and force them to take the sort of more around swinging throws and to stop that upfield momentum. So they're standing in those lanes to do that now, as we saw Adele was able to get through that anyways. But that's definitely PELT's intention here.
Just a slight delay here. Not sure if a timeout has been called or not, but there's certainly a delay. So it's Rebel with just coming up to 11 minutes on the clock here in the IFDA Women's Ultimate Frisbee All-Ireland Championship semi-final. It's Rebel 1 leading PELT from Limerick by 4 scores to 0. A very impressive performance, as we've mentioned, Jen. And what do PELT need to do to try and get back into this? Just stick to their processes? Because they're struggling to contain Rebel 1 at the moment.
Yeah, and actually I think they're struggling a little bit with their offense. I think that 2-5 setup with that vertical stack can be very effective. And they have a lot of new players on this team, and it's one of the simplest strategies to play when you're starting out. But it can be a little bit limited against an experienced team like Rebel, who are able to switch off who they're marking. And I think they're finding that they're getting shut down a lot downfield because Rebel is so good at passing off players between each other. So they could change their structure playing offense. They could try and utilise a bit of handler momentum before relying on their cutters. They have a lot of experience on that PELT team, so I think they might just need to change up how they're using their players on the pitch.
They also have to stop the triangle triumvirate of Caitlin Looney,
yes.
Adele Cormack and Michelle Lee, which from what I've seen today is certainly no easy task.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, on defense, I think that they've got the right idea about using the poaches and trying to push Rebel into spaces that they don't want to use as much. They could try a zone. PELT teams are really well known for using a bit more of a zone play. So again, that would typically be used to slow teams down even more and force a few more throws and just not let that runaway sequence happen between those three players.
Yeah, but it's PELT that have all the work to do at the moment.
Yep. As
Caitlin Looney gets ready to get us back underway here. Her son trying to come out again here at the North Campus at the University of Limerick. So as you'd expect in Limerick, we've had rain,
several
wind,
weathers today.
Rain, wind, and now a bit of sun as well. So all adding to the occasion. So
I think we'll all be happy if there's no hail or snow. So that's
I think we're okay for hail and snow today, just at this moment anyway. Maybe for the final, just to get it fully rounded with the weather in Limerick today. So Caitlin Looney with the pull. That's another good restart from Rebel. Olivia Humphreys though gets us quickly back in play, and Anya Hart with the long delivery, looking for the run of Emma Healy. But again, like you said moments ago, Jen, just on offense, it's just not happening for PELT.
It's just not really happening. I do like that they were looking to change their strategy there, though, and they did put Anya, who has those bigger throws, into the middle. They set up a little bit wider into a horizontal stack and sent their very experienced receiver of Emma Healy down the middle, looking to get that disc and creating that space. So I think that was a good adjustment. Unfortunately, it didn't work that time.
Rebel are up again. Brilliant work. It's Darren O'Sullivan. Saoirse O'Sullivan that has possession for Rebel. Goes backwards to Caitlin Looney.
Got the disc again there. As usual, she can run forever, so she'll be looking to get that disc every other pass if she can.
Yeah, very, very prominent start as Deirdre Kavanagh finds a pass to Saoirse O'Sullivan. Up again to Megan O'Regan-Artaud. And Artaud with the delivery into the end zone. This time Chelsea Love will be awarded the score.
Yeah.
It was disallowed a couple of minutes ago. This time it's all good from Chelsea Love's point of view. And Jen, It's just very, very impressive again.
It's very, very impressive. And you can see there how Rebel were actually using both sides of their pitch really effectively. So throwing that disc onto the harder break side, which is being better defended by the mark, just opens up so much of that side that we saw that Chelsea Love had to run into really in the end zone. She had all of that space to get into herself. So they're making it easy for themselves.
Really well worked move again from this Rebel side, who have raced into a 5-0 lead coming up to 15 minutes played of this semi-final. And it looks very much to be the number 1 seeds here at the moment, really, really performing as we would have expected.
Absolutely, yeah. And Rebel have had a fun season, and I think they've had to make a big adjustment this year. They've had quite a few players leaving Cork to go to jobs elsewhere, so they've had a lot of work to do. But you can see that they're still gelling. They've got a core group of players that have a lot of experience, and that's really standing to them this game.
Yeah, the other semi-final taking place, as you'll see on screen, over in the pitch adjacent to this one, and of course that one between Gravity 1 and Flame. We've also met earlier on this competition, the first 2 games ending up being the first or the 2 semi-finals as well, as PELT take possession with Fee Vaughan, taking the initial pass from Anya Hart. It's Fee Vaughan to Joanne Egan, quickly met by pressure.
Anya's looking to get the disc back here.
Anya Hart taking that very well. Immediately met though by Saoirse O'Sullivan. The countdown coming to Anya Hart, heading towards Joanne Egan, but the pressure was on, and Adele Cormac.
And Caitlin's in the right place again.
It's no surprise to see Caitlin.
It's no surprise to see her there. A nice grab from Deirdre there as well.
Yeah, Deirdre Kavanagh winning that one. Now it's Deirdre Vunicon. Good pressure though from Abby Jeffrey, but still finding the pass to Kate Crowley. And Rebels just seem to have all the answers for everything PELT throws them at the moment. And the pass comes long. It's a long one again. Deirdre Vunicon is in for another score for Rebel. And this is just at the moment, Jen, a whitewash.
It is, yeah. And we're getting close to the half-time break here now. So PELT are really going to have to... I think their last approach, actually, of aiming for that deep throw was the right thing to do. The weather's actually improved a little bit. The sun's coming out, the rain's gone, the wind has dropped maybe a little bit. So we'll see what they pull out this time. But I think that was... I'm expecting to see a few more deep shots and just for them to be a little bit braver.
It's PELT that have it all to do. 17 minutes on the clock. Could be very close to a half-time break here once if Rebel score again, which at the moment looks to be a foregone conclusion. And that's not being disrespectful to PELT. That's just calling what we're seeing at the moment in front of us. Yeah. So the restart coming as Rebel get ready for the pull.
Yeah, and I think they're just waiting for the PELT coach to get off the pitch there. So we start
trying to give some more final instructions, which are badly needed for his team at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's Adele Cormac once again. There's another deep pull into the PELT half, and it's Christina McKeown that will gain possession initially for PELT anyway. Immediately met by Adele Cormac. And McKeown now over to Joanne Egan. Side pass. Deirdre Kavanagh.
You can see just how tight that Rebel defence is, but also how they're using the space and trying to choose to cut off certain options. That was a good throw there.
Yeah, Emma Healy with the long delivery into the end zone, but again, just when it came down to it, it was Emer Burke, one of the new players making her debut for PELT in this competition, just a little bit lax maybe in grabbing the disc, a bit like Aoife McKeown early on. Yeah. And as a result, PELT still remain without a score in this game.
Yeah, and we'll see PELT here maybe trying to be a little bit more aggressive, but also sitting off of their players a little bit as they know that they're going to run through the disc. So
yeah, it's Caitlin Looney with possession. Good work there from Aoife McKeown. Forced the turnover. Good work from Joanne Egan to actually complete the turnover, but Aoife McKeown causing enough issues for Caitlin Looney there. And PELT starting with this offensive move, and it's Hannah Wilson that has possession, looking to fire it into the end zone, and there's no one there from a PELT point of view, but she was running out of time.
I think she was running out of time, and I think she had a few too many of the two other PELT players near her there. Olivia is maybe a little bit close to making that sort of easy reset option a little bit difficult. So yeah, she kind of was left with few choices but to throw it downfield and try. And in fairness, aim for the end zone, which is where if you're going to catch it, that's the
That's the place to be.
the place to be. Yeah.
Restart now or turnover in possession, I should say. That's Adele Cormac, who does launch a lot of attacks and is very, very good at it as well.
Yeah.
Very good long passer. So she's taking a timeout. So coming up to 20 minutes on the clock. The Rebel 1 side have decided to take a timeout. And just we've mentioned it, Jen, 6-0 they lead after coming up to, hopefully from their point of view, half time. They'll want that 7 point already, maybe even thinking about conserving energy for the final.
Yeah, and I think so, because they actually have quite a short squad for one team for the tournament, so they'll be looking to get a bit of a breather. I think that was actually a point with one of the more turnovers in it. So, before starting off on offense, they've got the whole pitch to go through. They're starting on their own end zone. So looking for those bigger cuts and bigger throws, they're going to want a water break now, so I think taking the timeout was probably the right decision for them.
As a seasoned player yourself, you've been in this situation where it's an all-day competition.
Yeah.
It's All Ireland Championships. It's the zenith of the club season, and you're coming into this. You're playing so many matches at once. By the time you get to the final, you've a lot of mileage in the legs. And you're kind of running on adrenaline. So any opportunity you get to take that break when you're leading 6-0, and probably at this stage we can say that they're looking good.
Yes,
to head
absolutely.
Into the final.
Yeah, and I think Rebel are going to be talking about how to just play smart now, so not to kind of reset and say let's play conservatively, let's go back to pretending it's 0-0. Let's not make any decisions that are going to cost us more time on our legs than are necessary, and that might be taking a few more conservative options, but just focusing on playing really good offense, starting from Adele picking up the disc here.
So it will be Adele Cormac restarting the game following that timeout. And it's PELT that have it all to do in this semi-final here. Of course, the IFDA Women's Ultimate Frisbee All-Ireland Championships here, brought to you from the University of Limerick's North Campus, live and exclusively on Pundit Arena's Facebook page. Just a bit of conversation here going on before Adele Cormac restarts the game. It's Cormac now. Good pressure from Hannah Wilson, but Cormac has a side pass to Caitlin Looney, and as Jen Kwan mentioned, always available for that pass. Further evidence of it here as she takes possession back. Short pass to Megan O'Regan Artaud.
And you can see here, this is PELT trying their zone now, so this actually maybe suited PELT a little bit to have that timeout where they can set up this zone on the turn. And as I was saying, this is one of the ways that they maybe be choosing to slow Rebel down and force them just to take a few more throws, tire them out, because they know that they're a short squad. So this is going to keep Rebel on the pitch a little bit longer than maybe they'd like to be there.
Yes, Cormac still managing to hold on to possession with ease at the moment, Rebel, but as Jen Kwan mentioned, PELT with the zonal defence. And it's beaten there with a fine pass up the middle. It's Maeve Ryan that has it again, gets the pass away. And Caitlin Looney again in the middle of the pitch, looking at options. Looking front, she's looking ahead of her, backwards. Decides to go back to Adele Cormac, heading into the end zone. That's a brilliant score again from this mightily impressive Rebel team. This time, it's Kate Crowley. So Kate Crowley bringing us to half-time by virtue of that score. And we'll take a quick break in commentary, and we'll be back shortly for the second half, where Rebel 1 lead PELT in this All-Ireland Championship semi-final by 7 scores to 0. Welcome back to the University of Limerick for the second half of this IFDA Women's Ultimate Frisbee All-Ireland Championship semi-final between Rebel 1 and PELT, and it's Rebel 1 that are in big control of this game, leading PELT 7-0. Delighted to be joined again by Jen Kwan for the second half. Jen, it's a difficult question to answer, but what do PELT need to do to get back into this? First of all, they need to get on the score sheet.
They need to get on the score sheet. I think that they need to take a few more risks and use their big players, because they have throwers and they have receivers, and I think that they really need to put it up to Rebel and start making Rebel work really hard to get those Ds. I think they're making it a little bit too easy for them by only throwing kind of shorter underthrows. They're making the defense know exactly where they need to sit, and they're not really challenging them. But I think they can use use more of the pitch.
So the Del Cormac with the pull, deep one taken by Anya Hart. Chance of an interception, nearly done by Adele Cormac, but PELT managing to hold on to possession.
Here we go.
Chance immediately here for Joanne Egan, and that's 3 or 4 times we've seen, just as they could create a scoring opportunity. Yeah. Either the final pass or there's a drop.
There's a drop, yeah. And I think that progression was quite good, but then it maybe was a little bit rushed. That was almost a good D from Joanne there. It's on disc.
Rebel able to manoeuvre the disc away from their defensive zone quite easily here. Is there Nivunik on to Chelsea Love? I don't think that was meant for Chelsea Love, nope. But she was aware
and she
to
was
the
free.
Situation, and more importantly, she was open. It's Michelle Leahy now for a Rebel side that have been dominant over this PELT outfit throughout this semi-final thus far. Good work from Joanne Egan on the PELT side, but again, it's Chelsea Love that takes possession for a Rebel. Now to Saoirse O'Sullivan, getting closer to the end zone with each pass. And again, it's Dirny Vuinicon that takes the final pass and inside the end zone. And again, we've said it, I don't know how many times in this half, or this semi-final so far, it's just way too easy.
It's way too easy, yeah. And I think PELT may be looking a little bit scared of where Rebel are going to go and of those deep shots. So it's making, we saw in that particular point, we saw a lot of the Rebel players going deep and then turning around and being very free, like Chelsea Love standing there able to get the disc, and maybe she wasn't expecting it, but that type of defense is just going to leave them wide open to getting the disc. And the Rebel team, they're experienced enough, they're not going to make mistakes with those throws, so it's easy for them.
Yeah, that's the hat-trick as well for Doireann Ní Bhuineacán, so that's 3 for her so far. Mightily impressive from her, and 2 for Caitlin Looney as well. So there's a battle going on between the two of them.
I think there is a battle, I think.
There might be a little bit of bragging rights going on between Caitlin Looney and Doireann Ní Bhuineacán, but either way, it's Rebel 1 that are really coasting to a final by the looks of things here at the moment. And PELT with it all to do as we come up to 26 minutes played of this semi-final. And we're going to restart with Caitlin Looney taking over the pull duties for this Rebel 1 side, who've been mightily impressive in the semi-final, mightily impressive throughout this competition. The call comes from Game Advisor that 15 seconds here to get play underway. And Caitlin Looney gives her signal and decides to go along with this, stays in bounds. So that's Anya Hart. In fact, it's Emer
looking
Burke
to centre
over
that to Fiona Vaughan, and it looks like Rebel are playing a bit of a zone here, but they've gotten the D very quickly there.
Yeah, Maeve Ryan with the pass now up forward to Kate Crowley. Crowley has a runner in Megan O'Regan Arnaud, but forced to go backwards. Good work from Fee Vaughan in forcing that backwards pass. And there's a call here, so decision to be made between the players. No. Just keep
going.
Yeah.
Keep on going.
Everyone stopped for a moment, but either way, it's Michelle.
It's a nice break from Michelle, and we can see there Rebel really using that break side.
Us dropped in the end zone. The ball came in, or the disc came in. The flat one. The disc came in from the pass from Kay Crowley, and it was Maeve Ryan, I think, that was attempting to try and get her hands on the disc inside the end zone. And I think we can call that the first mistake from Rebel 1 with 27 minutes of this semi-final.
Yeah, and see Fiona Vaughan here with the disc, looking to move the disc laterally across the pitch, which is a good idea, especially in the zone, to kind of move people. I think PELT need to really come in here. You can see Rebel have a lot of players right very close to the disc, which is making it hard for Emma Healy there to find an option.
And it's Healy in possession again finding Fiona Vaughan.
Yeah.
Vaughan now again, maybe forced to go laterally to Hannah Wilson.
Yeah, and you can see they're pushing into that kind of cup that Rebel have there, which is actually a great way to move the disc and possibly get that step through to a more downfield player. Emma, you can see there, is calling for the disc again.
Turnover though forced by Rebel 1, and Michelle Leahy. Backwards it goes to
Caitlin, of course.
Always in position.
Yep.
Always ready to take a pass. And
I'm looking for a big break from Caitlin across the pitch there.
It's very impressive stuff this from Rebel side as Chelsea Love takes possession. Again, it's back to Leahy. Forward now to Deirdre Kavanagh. And then simple pass. Chelsea Love is in again. And there's absolutely nothing that PELT seem to be able to do about Rebel's attack. They're just so good on offense. They are so good on
offense, yeah.
And so good on, I will call it attacking defense, because they just forced with the zonal defense, forced PELT into the mistake close to their end zone. And the inevitable happens after that as Chelsea Love gets her second score of the game.
Yeah, and you can see this is where Rebel is playing quite an aggressive zone where they're putting a lot of players around the disc in order to try and get that turnover quite close to the scoring zone that they're aiming for, so they're not having to play a whole lot of frisbee. They're getting the disc right outside where they want to score in and hoping for a D and a one-shot score after there, which they were pretty close to that time.
Again, very impressive stuff by this Rebel side. 9-0, they currently lead PELT, and just hasn't happened for PELT in this game. They've had several scoring opportunities themselves. The disc didn't go to hand in the end zone, and as a result they find themselves in deep trouble.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm expecting Rebel to come back out with that same zone. Now the wind is a little bit different, but given the success of that and how quickly they were able to put them into a corner, into a trap, we'll see what PELT have to do to counter it this time and whether they get a few more players involved.
We're just seeing our previous co-commentator Aoife Blake representing Rebel, helping out with the water.
Helping out with the water, yeah.
Of course, injured herself, so unable to take part, but very much part of the team in this Rebel club. Of course, Rebel had two teams playing in the competition today. The PELT's one, but PELT in serious need of a boost here. And they'll have to start slowly. Obviously, if they've any hope of a comeback, it'll have to start from just a basic thing of getting on the scoreboard number one and working away from there.
Yeah, and I think really just it's getting a few completions, opening up the pitch a little bit, finding a couple of shots, and really starting with that first pass, even getting that into the middle there.
But we're seeing immediately again the zone defense, push defense from Rebel, but this time PELT have managed to evade it initially anyway, and it's Fee Vaughan takes that pass from Abby Jeffrey. Backwards it comes to Anya Hart. Again, Rebel have got back. And plenty of defenders behind the disc. There's Anya Hart.
And we'll see if they can take advantage of the slight mismatch downfield, which is what happened in that first point, where they actually had a few more PELT players a little bit further down, looking for that big throw, which again...
They're right on the end zone now. Abby Jeffrey back to Anya Hart. Finding it difficult to find a lane to get the pass away at the moment.
Yeah.
Forced to go short. And it's coming out to this right hand side now to Joanne Egan. Egan has options in the end zone. But it's well defended again by Rebel. There just was no option. Not
really, no. And I think, Rebel are very conscious that once they can get you onto close to a sideline anyways, we haven't seen PELT really attempt any of those cross-field throws. So while there might have been a PELT player open on the other side of the pitch, I think Rebel they've been making the assumption that those throws are unlikely to come off and really crowding where they think the biggest threat is. So been doing a good job with that.
Maeve Ryan gets us back underway to O'Regan Arto, I should say. And now it's Chelsea Love, and it's just that bit easy again as Love gets this one downfield, and it was a big chance there for this Rebel side, but Megan O'Regan Arto just unable. But it was amazing to see again there, Jen. Plenty of space.
Plenty of space, yeah. So much space there. We'll see Rebel is setting this zone again here.
To really push up on the
really
position.
Pushing up, yeah, exactly. And you can see there that Anya Hart's starting with the disc, but she doesn't really have anybody to very obviously throw to. You've done a good job there, pushing up.
Yes, Joanne Egan now in possession, back inside to the middle to Anya Hart. Better movement in front of Hart this time on Anya Hart, and Hart's pass though, again a rushed pass, didn't come out of her hand properly at all, and as a result we've another turnover in possession. So 33 minutes played. That's very much.
Yeah. And PELT are going to want to D down this end of the pitch. This is close to their scoring zone, and they don't want to play against that zone the whole length of the pitch. So, be hoping they'll be putting some pressure on here.
Adele Cormac tries the long pass, and that's a beautiful pass taken by Megan O'Regan-Artaud. Flings it in to Kay Crowley, and it's just that easy for this Rebel side, and that's Kay Crowley with her hat trick. So, whatever thing is going on between her and Darren Nivunakan, they're all square in this semi-final anyway. Beautiful throw from Adele Cormac, just evaded Fee Vaughan, and then Megan O'Regan-Artaud into the end zone for an unmarked Kay Crowley. And just again, we've said it out now many times now, Jen, it's just that easy for Rebel.
It's just that easy, yep. And they're finding all of the space, they're hitting it really well. You can see Kate's running there with her head up looking at the disc the whole time. She knows it's coming. Everybody knows it's coming. It's just about her.
The PELT team knows it's coming as well.
The PELT team knows it's coming as well.
But like you can see the amount of confidence in this Rebel side. They know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Even Adele Cormac was in trouble. Time was wasting out. She didn't panic. Saw the pass. Attempted the pass. It came off, and sometimes you throw passes that aren't exactly going maybe where they're fully intended. There seems to be always a player there for this Rebel side at the moment.
Yeah.
Full of confidence and
I think that's a huge thing about the experience that they bring is their awareness of who else is on the pitch. So even when, as we've seen, those couple of mistakes, we haven't seen many this game, but we have seen a couple, but they have been picked up by teammates who are just in the right position and have their heads up to find those discs again.
So we're going to restart again with this pull from Adele Cormac. Just see PELT are ready to go. The signal goes. So 10-0 in favour of this Rebel one side against PELT. A very one-sided semi-final thus far. Of course, the other semi-final going on simultaneously in the field across from us here in the commentary booth as Hannah Wilson takes possession for PELT up to Abby Jeffrey. Jeffrey has Emma Healy on the run. Just doesn't go to plan, and another mistake coming from this PELT side who've done so well to get up to that area. They
actually did so well, and I think they put Emma Healy back as a handler because of her experience, and she would typically play in one of those handler marking positions on D, so she's very aware of how that works, so might be trying to change the positions.
It's Kay Crowley clashing with Joanne Egan, an uncontested free, and it's Caitlin Looney, I should say, flings this one up into the end zone, looking for Nivunakan, and again, just amazing play from this Rebel side, who are really, really coasting now to this semi-final, or to the final place. Just brilliantly quick. The disc was on the ground, the free was given, uncontested. It's Nivunakan, and watch the run. No one tracked her, and it was easy then for Caitlin Looney to just fire it into the end zone, knowing where her teammate was.
Yeah. And it's easy for her to put a good angle on that disc as well. So even though Darren was running pretty much right in front of her, she put it out into space that Darren could turn her head and see exactly where that disc was going to. We can see there the disc is actually curving into her, so she can track that quite easily, and all she's worrying about is just her feet landing in.
Oh, perfect throw, perfect grab, perfect score again for this Rebel side, who at this stage, we were mentioning it about 10 minutes ago, maybe they'll just try and conserve energy, won't push. They would conserve energy very quickly if they got another 2 scores.
They would, yeah, and I think that's maybe partly why they're trying to do the zone. The zone typically tends to be, in thought anyways, a sort of more energy conserving way to play, and they're getting quick turns out of it, meaning that they don't have to play such deep offense on the turn either.
So Caitlin Looney will have the pull for this Rebel side as the course the teams change over in sides after a score, and it's PELT, as we've mentioned several times, with it all to do. maybe a bridge too far at this stage.
Maybe. And then you can see Pelt now have actually they've tried to put 4 handlers back to overload that zone.
It's worked again.
It's worked again because they're still trying to aim for the middle, where actually there's now more Rebel defenders sitting in that space. So it'll be big work for Pelt here to try and get the def back.
Yeah, it's Deirdre Kavanagh now in possession close to the end zone. Plenty of movement in front of her. She opts to go backwards to Michelle Leahy. Great interception though from Joanne Egan. Maybe the bit of confidence boost and lift that this Pelt side need. Fee Vaughan now back to Emma Healy.
And they're taking their time finding the space, that Pelt team now. So
just small
Joanne
building
Egan's
blocks to try and get back into this contest.
Exactly, yeah. See Emma Healy in the middle with the disc there, and again using her experience to find the gaps and take the safe option.
But then another on-force there.
Yeah.
Fee Vaughan, who hasn't been herself in this contest thus far, just maybe taking her eyes off the disc and just fumbling onto the ground.
Uncharacteristic fumbles, I think, for her.
Just makes Rebels' task that bit easier. Could be another score here. It's a long delivery again.
A long throw to Caitlin Looney.
And again, Caitlin Looney has got her hat-trick as well now. So that's 3 for Looney, 3 for Crowley, and 4 for Dirney Vuinic. So we're 1 score away here from an easier than expected semi-final victory for this for this Rebel side. It was Megan O'Regan-Artaud firing a long pass into Caitlin Looney, and Jen, it's magnificent.
It is magnificent, and I think
Rebel
have really, they play such sort of open and free ultimate. They don't have hugely set positions in what they're doing. So we've seen Caitlin at the back handling the disc. We've seen her deep receiving. If you're Pelt, it's very hard to mark a player like that where they're really a threat anywhere they are on the pitch. And I think Rebel are just showing their experience and their skill across the team there today.
The only thing they'll be hoping from, because it's such a magnificent performance, is that they haven't saved their final performance for the semi-final. But looking at this team, I don't think it's something they're going to be too far concerned about. We can look ahead to the final now. Okay, we don't know the score in the other game as it's happening, but Gravity 1 being the favourites for that game against the newly formed Flame side as well.
Yep.
We're either way, I think we're going to have a closer final.
I think we will have a close final, and these two clubs have a big history of playing against each other as well. So a lot of great friendships, a lot of great rivalries. So I think we'll see a much more hotly contested scoreline coming into this final.
Yeah, Pelt now trying to move through the lines with Emer Burke. Short pass for Burke to Anya Hart.
And a big throw to Emma Healy.
Just that bit far again for Emma Healy, and it's just symptomatic of what's happened for Pelt in this game.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it looks a little bit rushed. I think the wind in that particular throw didn't help. It would have been coming on the underside of the disc, which is what made it blade that little bit more, and didn't sit it out quite as nicely for Emma to go and run on to. Maybe
a problem now as well for Emma Healy. Bit of cramp maybe. Caitlin Looney, it's good to see attending to her over on that far side, just on the side of the screen as you see it in front of you. But this IFDA Women's Ultimate Frisbee All-Ireland Championship semi-final, of course, brought to you exclusively from the North Campus at the University of Limerick on Pundit Arena's Facebook page, as the Rebel side now going for the decisive score that will see them into the final long before the 50-minute mark. Backwards it goes now to Kate Crowley, looking for the run of Michelle Healy, but has an option in Maeve Ryan. Just a lateral pass. Ryan now going low with this one. And Megan O'Regan-Artaud, I think the first mistake she's made in the competition. She's been a very, very impressive player in all the games so far.
Especially just outside the end zone. I think that's been almost her favourite place to be, is scoring throw, isn't it?
Yeah, and just on that occasion, for once, it didn't go to plan for Rebel. Shows they are human as well, not just dominating this game, but they're really, really in firm control of this contest, and I think it's just a matter of time before they get that to that magic number 13.
Yeah, and I can look, even just seeing how Rebel are matching up there. They're very tight against those Pelt players. They'll be looking to try and get that D. Their heads up there, and they've gotten that D off of that first throw, so they'll be looking to score now with Michelle on the disc.
And there is that score. The aforementioned Megan O'Regan Arto has finished this game for this Rebel 1 side. And Jane, we mentioned it several times in our 42, nearly 43 minutes. That's just a mightily impressive performance from this Rebel 1 outfit.
It is, yeah. They're going to be absolutely delighted with themselves because as easy as that looked, it's still a tough enough game. There's a lot of connections they have to make. They were using that break side really well, throwing those long throws. So they're going to have tired players now. But they do have that hour off before heading into the final and a little bit extra from finishing this game up a little bit early.
So that's it from us at the semi-final stage of the Women's Ultimate Frisbee All-Ireland Championship. It's the Rebel 1 side that have booked their spot in the final in an hour or so time with a comprehensive 13-0 victory over PELT from Limerick. So we await to see who they'll play in that final. It's Gravity versus Flame at the moment. That game going on as we're finishing up our coverage here. We'll be back for that final in and around 4:30 is where we expect that final to be played. We'll be back a few minutes. Again, many thanks to Jen Kwan. She'll be joining me for the final as well in an hour or so's time. Join us for that final then.